Hi everyone, my name is Myrna Jarami and I am a proud mama of two students at Rockbridge Academy. They're now second grade and fifth grade. Scary to say that, but I'm a proud parent and I'm going to be acting as your moderator. I have the honor of introducing you guys to the administrative team here at Rockbridge Academy. And I just want to give you a synopsis of what we're doing here. The purpose of this live session is basically to answer some of the more pressing questions, a lot of the frequently asked questions that the team gets asked by a lot of the prospective families. And we wanted to do this in a candid way rather than try to produce some formal presentation that you wouldn't be able to feel as much of the engagement and also get a feel for meeting the team. So without further ado, let's see how you guys are doing on questions. Looks like, oh, you guys are plugging through, love it. And I am gonna share some of these responses because I don't think my panelists can see it before I actually tell them to introduce themselves. But just real quick, a lot of people are coming in from kindergarten, meaning that that's the grade they're interested in, but it's all across the board actually. There's 7, 8, 5, 3, high school. They're interested in learning about the tuition assistance, so we know that. They're interested and know that classical education exists and they are somewhat aware of it. So we may not need to go in depthly on that, which is great. Let's see, they're interested in learning about the background a little bit more, specifically with private Christian schools. And they're also interested in, or they also, a majority of them are either coming from private Christian school or homeschooling. That's what it looks like right now. All right, so without further ado, let's start with the intros. I'm gonna start with Roy first. And then I'll kind of move down the line because it's kind of a Brady Bunch thing. So I don't know what order you guys see everyone, but I'll make sure we get to everyone. So Roy, you're first, my dear.
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name's Roy Griffith. I'm the headmaster here at Rockbridge Academy. I've been at Rockbridge since 1997. I came in as a fifth grade teacher and taught fifth grade for 15 years before moving into administration, served as grammar school principal, and now as headmaster for the past 4 years. My wife and I have 4 children, and they've all been through Rockbridge Academy and graduated from kindergarten all the way through. So we're kind of in a different phase of life right now, but definitely see the benefit looking back over their years at Rockbridge Academy and wouldn't really have it any other way. So it's great to meet everybody digitally.
Awesome. I know it's an e-meet, right? Mm-hmm. Jerry, you're next, my dear.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jerry Keener. I am the upper school principal at Rockbridge Academy. And let's see, I've been here since 2011. My wife and I have, though, been connected to the school for much longer. We have 2 daughters, both Rockbridge students. One is entering 9th grade next year. She literally finished 8th grade yesterday. And the other finished high school yesterday. She's a graduate now officially and going off to college next year.
Awesome. Love it, love it. Stephanie, you're up, my dear.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Bachman. I'm just finishing my 3rd year at Rockbridge. My role here is Upper School Resource Coordinator, which encompasses a few different things. My background is in school psychology and clinical counseling. And I have 4 children at Rockbridge. I'll just tell you what grades they're finishing. I'm not ready to move on to next year. So we just finished 8th grade, 5th grade, 4th grade, and kindergarten. So we've been at Rockbridge since my oldest was in kindergarten.
Love it. Denise, you are up.
Thank you, Myrna. Hi, everybody. My name is Denise Hollage, and I came to Rockbridge in 2001 with my 4 children. They've all since graduated. At that time, I was a 3rd grade teacher. Taught in the grammar school for 10 years and then joined the administrative team after that. In the past 4 years, I've been the grammar school principal.
Awesome. Brooke, you're up, my dear. Okay, there we go. Unmute.
Sorry, trying to unmute myself.
No worries.
Hi, everybody. I'm Brooke Velp. I'm the grammar school vice principal. I've been at Rockbridge Academy for 15 years. I just finished up my 15th year. I taught 2nd grade for 7 years. I taught 1st grade for 4 years here at Rockbridge. And previous to that, I taught in the public schools. Both my children graduated from Rockbridge Academy, and I can honestly say it's been one of the greatest blessings in our life. And my husband Bill and I have been married for 28 years. And yeah, so nice to meet you all.
Love it. Wonderful. Michelle, you are up, my dear.
Good afternoon. My name is Michelle Walker. I am the Community Engagement Director at Rockbridge Academy. I have taught for 5 years previously at the Academy and have been in education for over 20 years. My goal as Community Engagement Director is to connect as many families in the community, the greater community, and within Rockbridge Academy to learn more about the possibilities and to connect them with what's going on at Rockbridge. And it's a lot of fun. And I look forward to meeting you all.
Awesome. Julie, last but not least, my dear, you're up.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Julie Marsh, and I'm the Admissions Director at Rockbridge. I have been in this position since 2006, and I look forward to working with each one of you in a very individual way through the admissions process. I have a graduate who came from the class of 2019 and a rising 11th grader now. They started in kindergarten, and my family has been blessed by our time at Rockbridge ever since.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome. So guys, I know it is beautiful outside, and I am so happy that you guys took a moment out of your busy schedules and your holiday weekend to spend a little moment with us. So we're not going to try to waste any of your time. That being said, we basically formulated 11 of our top frequently asked questions that that they get asked. I'm saying I'm a part of the family, yes, but it's actually the administrative team that gets asked these questions on a regular basis. And so we wanted to make it so that we can hit all these questions and give you as much insight as possible. So without further ado, I'm gonna put a presentation. It's not even a presentation, it's just a slide deck of the questions. And I'm gonna basically run through them and actually point to some of the people who can answer that question the best, and we'll take it from there. And of course, if you have questions, I think you have the ability to do the raise hand situation and actually place a question into the box, because I'm going to actually be looking at that too to make sure that we're making sure that we're answering all of the questions that you're in need of or you're asking as well. So let me do that. So I'm going to share my screen. Put that up. All right. So we're going to count down. I'm going down from 11 and then to 1. So the first question that we have, and we get asked a lot, is classical education possible in this day and age? And so I'm going to point this to Roy because he can give you the breakdown of what classical education actually means and also how Rockbridge Academy approaches that. So Roy, my dear.
Sure. I'll try to be as succinct as possible. You know, classical education is really the way that folks were educated all the way from ancient Greek and Roman times all the way up to really the turn of the 20th century, before modern education theory and so forth kind of took over. And an easy way to explain classical education is, you know, there were 3 objectives to it. One was to teach the grammar of a subject, another was to teach by dialectic, and another was to teach the rhetoric. We call that the trivium. That's the old Latin word for it, but it means the 3 ways. And grammar is really the learning the language of a subject, learning the facts and stories of a subject. And so it applies not just to English grammar, but to every subject has a grammar. And so, you know, students can learn the say for history, we'll learn the dates and the chants, but also the stories. For science, they do a lot of classification and so forth, and at the same time enjoy the wonder of discovery and things like that. And that grammar stage falls very easily into the elementary school years, because that's what that age group loves to do. They love to discover, they love to hear the stories, they can memorize circles around you and I. And so we fill them with a lot of fun knowledge that they learn with chants and songs and things like that. But they don't stay that age for long. Before long, they're moving into adolescence, and you know, what does a preteen and an early teen love to do more than to argue, especially around the dinner table? And so we teach them to do it well. We say, well, that's how God has given them as they're gaining their independence. So let's teach them along that way. And the dialectic from the classical age of education is really about learning to tear ideas apart through argument and put them back together. And so we use that natural proclivity that they have, but yet teach them to do it respectfully and productively, rather than to tear one another down. If you move then into the high school years, you know, ask yourself, what does the average high schooler really care about? Well, they care about what they look like. They care about how they're coming across with their friends. They care about that they want to do something to change the world. And so that is the perfect time to teach a student rhetoric. And rhetoric is simply the art of persuasion in a way that conveys truth. It's a word that's kind of fallen on hard times lately because it's taken a lot of times in a political sense, but it's a whole realm of educating them how to be persuasive. And so because those stages fall so well within what we do in modern education as far as elementary, middle school, high school, it really works well with the grain of the student as they grow. And so that's how we seek to apply it.
Awesome. And I mean, to answer the question about being possible in this day and age, absolutely, because the foundation and the methodology behind it is so not just tested and proven, but so applicable even in today's age, because, you know, to Roy's point, yeah, it's relevant, which is amazing. All right, so we're gonna move to the next question. Next question we get asked a lot is it too late to enroll, or when actually is the right time to enroll? So is there any room, that kind of thing. So Julie, I'm gonna actually point this to you.
Wonderful, thank you. So this is, of course, probably the leading question that parents have right now. There is room. We recently acquired a new building and there is space. But re-enrollment has been going well, and it has shown that the parents are committed to this education despite the economic downturn. And we are committed to making that happen for them too. We have very resilient numbers in enrollment, but there is still room in each grade right now for applicants to be considered. We have extended the admission season. We go until the classes are full, but the sooner that people apply, that means that there's more time for orientation, and that knowing that this opportunity for a classical education might be a little bit different from what they've experienced in the past, there might be some time that they need to prepare. So past the third grade, it's a great time for review of Latin. Even if you've had a little Latin coming into Rockbridge, it might do a student well to review with one of our tutors. So we do have space, and we would love for us to grow. One thing to consider when we're talking about enrollment and room, we do keep our classes small to be able to do classical Christian education well. So that means that our classes are an average of 13. And so that gives that good individual attention to each individual student. But at the same time, as they grow older in the dialectic and rhetoric years, that provides a good diversity of students to be able to engage in those active classroom discussions with various viewpoints. So yeah, look forward to seeing more people through them.
Awesome. This actually brings me to the next question, which I preemptively put it up when I was trying to mute myself, but it ties in very well. The grades that are best considered to the times to come in,
right.
Because we do have these 3 stages. So Julie, you take this first, and then I'm actually going to ask Denise and Brooke and even Jerry to intercede on this a little bit too. So,
right. So the earlier the better is the way to go, to really take advantage of the foundation that is laid in the grammar, and then to build upon that with the dialectic and the rhetoric. Not to say that there's not opportunities along the way for new students to come in, and we do our work very well to prepare new transfer students to come into whatever grade they're rising into. There are more popular grades for applicants that we have noticed. So kindergarten, of course, to start fresh, learn the tools of learning, learn how to be a diligent student and to attend a lesson with attention and diligence. But also third grade, that shift from learning to read to reading to learn, and the beginning of Latin. That is a very popular grade that we get a lot of interest in. So if you're at that age, or maybe fourth grade or second grade, those are good times to come in. We encourage people to not wait another year. And then sixth grade is another great year to come in, because for other schools, that's the beginning of middle school. But at Rockbridge, that is the transition year to go into dialectic, that next stage of learning. And so in sixth grade, they are doing the practice of classroom discussions a little bit more within the grammar stage, but testing out their discussion muscles and transitioning to making those connections between all the facts that they have learned thus far. And then in high school, of course, ninth grade is another popular entry point that we see, just because that allows students the full opportunity to bond with their class and to be part of the community. So those are the most popular grades, but there's always entry points along the way that we can accommodate.
Which is great. You answered that so well, because again, through the polls, there was majority of the people here they're interested in the kindergarten, but it was actually sprinkled 7th grade, 6th grade. So answering through the whole is amazing. I think if you guys, again, if you have questions about that, definitely put some questions in the chat. But I think Julie covered that well. So what I wanted to do with this too, I wanted Denise to kind of hone in a little bit more on the grammar school things of the grammar aspects of this, because this is where majority of the children do come in. And so I wanted to see, Denise, if you could just shed some insight on just some of the things that you guys do in terms of helping to prep the students, and just how that all works as well. So.
Great, thank you.
Nope.
I totally agree with Julie. One thing we often say at Rockbridge is we like to grow our own graduates. So looking at graduation right now, we have many of those students who are graduating came in kindergarten, for those of you looking at kindergarten. I would like to emphasize, I guess, the fact that at Rockbridge, it's a commitment we have to a standard of excellence. And that our hope is to really come alongside you and disciple your children. So your entering kindergartner would at Rockbridge receive both the law of God and the gospel of grace together whenever they are being trained, whether it's in their academics or in their relationships with one another, their relationship to their teacher. A child, when they are taught God's standards and they fail those standards like we all do, they begin to understand that they can't keep God's law themselves apart from the saving grace of the Lord Jesus Christ. So the good news is that incorporated in every part of the student's day in kindergarten is the law of God as a schoolmaster to bring them to Christ. Jesus is the best teacher.
So I wanted to bring in Brooke here, because Brooke, you're one of the people who work very closely with the students during the summer, and also during times where they may need to have some extra nourishment or extra assistance, specifically when it comes to Latin or different subjects. So I wanted you to just speak very briefly on that, like how we work toward preparing the student and how you're involved in that. So if you could just
Sure.
emphasize
So
that.
just like you said, Myrna, part of my job is to ensure that the students that are new to Rockbridge Academy transition smoothly into the grammar school. And so after an initial assessment, there may be some academic areas in which your child needs some additional work. And this is usually due to the unique nature of the classical Christian school. Beginning in 4th grade, your student may need some help in transitioning to the Latin and the Shirley grammar question and answer flow. This is not a subject the parents are familiar with, and so we're here to help you with that. We assign tutors to work very closely with your child to ensure they'll be well prepared for all those academics at Rockbridge. And we create a specific transition plan. And then we meet again after the tutoring sessions are over, and we reassess and ensure that your child has mastered the given objectives. If for some reason they haven't completed them all, we let the teacher know they're going to need some additional help in the fall. And sometimes we even come up with some accommodations for the classroom. Now, many students are new to Latin. And in fact, my daughter, she's transitioned to Rockbridge Academy in 5th grade. And she didn't know any Latin at all, and neither did I. But she learned the 3rd and 4th grade curriculum over the summer with a tutor, and she transitioned very smoothly into 5th grade. There are other options regarding Latin. If your child begins transitioning even later over the summer, we can allow your child to audit for a time until they get their feet wet and they feel more confident in this new subject. But we're happy to talk to you about that in more detail if that is the case. And just know that your goal is our goal, a successful transition to Rockbridge Academy for your child.
So Stephanie, I'm going to actually turn this to you specifically from an upper school standpoint, because we do have some people in here. 7th grade, I saw some 8th grade. So can you chime in on this specific aspect and how it happens in the upper school? That'd be great.
Sure, I'd be happy to. So very similar to how Brooke described, I work closely with Julie and the upper school, so 7th through 12th grade. And what we do is we look at the assessment, we look at the entrance testing, we look at history, what courses have they had, how are they lining up with the courses that they will be coming into as Rockbridge, and we just make plans that make sense for the individual child. We worked hard to have some options as far as math classes in the upper school, so if the student is behind in math and it's too much to accomplish in one summer, we can sometimes offer a different math class to them than their same age peers will be taking, just because they haven't had that instruction yet. Oftentimes it's a matter of tutoring over the summer with a Rockbridge trained tutor. Often one of our teachers will take that on. And our goal is to assess them during the summer so that they can come in ready to go. And if not, similar to Brooke, talking to the teachers about what that student might need. Now, Latin is a little different in the upper school because if students are coming in, say in 9th grade or 10th grade and haven't had any Latin experience, that would be too much of a hill to climb for a summer before starting. So there are times that there are exemptions for Latin for that reason. However, students who are coming into 7th grade or 8th grade even have often worked to catch up on the vocabulary from grammar school that they'd never had, and working with a tutor over the summer so that they can either start the class or, similar to what Brooke had just said, audit the class with the hopes that they would start taking the class for grades later on. But our goal is to help the student get to where they need to be and to make it as successful as possible. So I work with the tutors over the summer, talk with the families, and we do our best to get them ready for school with the transition plan. You know.
Love it. No, that's awesome. Love it, love it, love it. All right, so next question, guys. We're going to move on. Let's see. Hold on. Something may be happening to my computer because, there we go. I was hitting the wrong button. The school year calendar. Julie, you can just briefly just kind of break it down because our calendar is different because we are actually done right now, guys, which is amazing. Like I said, you know, I said this prior to the meeting. Last year, this time, I was getting on a plane to go to Disney World with my family. And so reminiscing about that. But Julie, just let us know what that is.
Yes, especially this year. The school calendar has been something that we've all been looking at with the distance learning that our teachers were and parents and students were able to pivot into and do well. We were able to end school at the appropriate time. So this week we have just been praising God and rejoicing with all of our families for an amazing job, well done. And there was refreshment to look forward to in the summer. But we have traditionally held the school year to be between the Labor Day holiday in September and the Memorial Day holiday in May. And so those are the two bookends that contain our school year. We do work with a trimester system. And so there are 3 sections of grading that we go through. This allows for some really well-deserved breaks sprinkled throughout the year. Good Thanksgiving, Christmas break, and then spring break, and then the Resurrection Day holiday as well. But it goes to, and it speaks to the philosophy, one of our philosophies is that we work hard, we work diligently unto the Lord, and then we refresh ourselves and spend time with our families, because that is important. And you can see that in our homework policy, that normally there is no homework over the weekends or holidays and things like that, so that families can be together once again, and kind of take in the fruit of being at Rockbridge by having those meaningful conversations with one another, and to build relationships and to ground their family again in the Word, and just spending time with one another. We know this is precious, and it's a sweet community, and so we do what we can to protect that by careful scheduling.
Love it. Yes, it's definitely a perk, I will say. All right, guys, let's see. Sports programs. This is always a big one that comes up. So Jerry, if you could just give a high-level breakdown, because this usually happens towards the upper school in terms of the formulated sports program that we have. So if you could just speak on that, that'd be great.
Sure, I'd love to. We believe at Rockbridge Academy that education is about educating the whole person, and that includes the mind, the heart, but also the body. And so we take sports really seriously. We take athletics seriously. So we have a full middle school athletics program and a full high school athletics program. And that includes 3 different seasons. In the fall, we have soccer and cross country for both middle school and varsity. In the winter, we have basketball and swimming for middle school and varsity. And in the spring, we have girls lacrosse and baseball for boys.
Love it. Awesome. All right, so moving right along, this is a big one because the word classical and STEM and technology don't usually go hand in hand. And we often get asked, how is STEM or technology incorporated into the curriculum? So Jerry, I'm going to continue with you on this, being that it plays more of a role throughout upper school, and just the fact that they're going to be graduating and going into other programs, into college and so forth. So can you just speak on this very briefly? That'd be great too.
Sure. So it's interesting, here's what we don't do. We don't have students on their computers in school all day. I never want a student to be buried into their screen. I want them facing their classmates and their teacher and having that conversation. As they get older, the classroom conversation becomes the key to real learning and real engagement. Now, that said, our upper school students use computers all the time. Anytime they're working on any paper or written assignments, they'll be using computers. In their science classes, our upper school science teachers work diligently to give them the tools they'll need to use a whole suite of software that'll help them with labs and lab reports and all those other things. So we use it a lot. We teach them also. A really important part of what we do is teach our students how to do responsible online research, which could sound either really boring or really scary, depending on your perspective. But the point is, colleges are going to online libraries. And so our students have to be equipped to manage that. So before our students leave and graduate, they have not only been engaging with college libraries online in their databases for years, but they know how to do it. They've been trained to do it, and they've used it time and again in their work. And that translates into what they do when they go to school. We've had students do everything from going to the pastorate to, on the other extreme, become engineers and scientists and doctors and pilots. And so we have a lot of students who do a lot of STEM careers. We have a lot of students who do a lot of non-STEM careers, and both this education works great for all of those things. And we try our best to make sure they're equipped and ready to go, no matter what their field is that they're entering.
I'm going to actually add to this only because I come from the world of tech. I am a woman of tech. I'm a technology advisor for several different businesses out there. So, you know, it would be ironic to say that I would have my children go to a school that would not even consider STEM or technology as an aspect to their curriculum. I will say this, the one thing that I do love about Rockbridge, all of the different stages, specifically in the grammar stage, where they break everything down to a granular approach, which is really what technology is. It's about logic. It's about cause and effect. The fact that that stuff is ingrained in your children at that low stage, at very young stage, as they progress through the program, they're basically equipped with all the things they need, all the tools they need to be able to do anything, to Jerry's point. So I just wanted to say that because I've heard that a lot, even from me, you know, with talking to parents. So just rest assured, the approach that this curriculum takes will have your children no doubt ready for any type of technology or STEM program that they may be interested in. So, all right, let's move on. I think there was a question, but I don't know if you guys can see the question, just to see. I don't know if it was STEM related, but I just want to make sure if it was, let me know. Otherwise, we'll move on because I can't really see it since I'm sharing my screen.
The question is how you will handle sports with COVID this year.
Oh, okay, there we go. You know what I want to do with that? I want to hold that off because the last question actually has to do with next fall. So I'm going to kind of let that one go. So don't think we forgot, but I'm just going to let it be answered when we get to the end. All right, so with that said, let's move on to the next question. It's about fine arts programs and our extracurricular activities. So Michelle, if you could just give us some insight on how we incorporate field trips and how we incorporate this into our curriculum, that'd be great.
It's really a beautiful way that it's incorporated, and that these things are standalone events that the teacher or the administrators are coordinating. They are integral parts of the curriculum and meaningful. They supporting or even adding to what has already been taught in the classroom. So it's really beautiful in that our kindergarten class goes on a tour of Annapolis, and our rising seniors in between their junior and senior year will go on a tour called the Grand Tour. And Jerry could probably speak to this a little bit more in a little bit more detail, but these things are ingrained in the curriculum and so integral. Jerry, do you want to be a little bit more specific than I just was?
Well, sure. You know, Grand Tour, that's a strange name, right? Really, we're picking up the 18th and 19th century term of Grand Tour, where in Europe, people did not consider your education complete until you had visited all the major cities of Europe and studied their culture, studied their art, studied their history. And so we do that in a little shorter time than 6 months to a year. We leave in a normal year. We would have been leaving tomorrow, not this year. We're postponing the trip a little bit so we can be safe. We take our seniors on an 18-day trip of Greece and Italy. They've been studying Western civilization all their time here at school, and we think what could be a better field trip than going and actually seeing it. So we spend 18 days traveling through all the major sites of Greece and Italy, studying art history, studying the theological history, studying the history, if there's such a thing, and also interacting with the cultures, which opens their eyes beyond anything they ever dreamed of. And it's education with its feet on the ground. And that's all of our field trips are like that. That's just the quintessential example.
So, and adding to what Jerry said, on a simpler level, within every grade, the students will go on small field trips to, again, to reinforce what they're learning in the classroom. And also there are many opportunities as far as fine arts. We start Suzuki strings, right? And, I believe kindergarten and first grade are eligible to start those. Those are before and after school programs that are available. And also there are audition orchestra and choir opportunities starting in the third grade, all the way up through the high school and upper school level. These are wonderful programs that have a very excellent, a high level of excellence that you would definitely want your children being involved in.
Love it. Love it. The Grand Tour gets me excited every time I hear it. I'm like, yay. Okay. What expectations does the school have for parent involvement? I know this is a big one. So Michelle, I'm going to have you.
This is near and dear to my heart. Okay, so volunteer, it really is voluntary. But we do highly encourage participation by parents. And this goes back a little bit to the question before, because we have these amazing events that happen in every classroom, kindergarten through sixth grade. They're culmination events for the year. And for example, in second grade, the class will study ancient Egyptian history for the entire year and then have this amazing feast where they're experiencing everything they've been learning about for the year. And as you can imagine, that takes a lot of work that the teacher is not able to do on their own. So we do tell parents about this way in advance so that if they need to take off work, they're able to and come celebrate with their children what they're learning.
No, I think that's awesome. I mean, I will say the one thing that I like about this is there's no pressure, but you actually end up just wanting to do it anyway, and you just make it happen. So that's the reality. The other thing I'll say too is from a parent perspective, what I love too is the fact that I feel as if I've partnered with not even just my kids' immediate teachers, but even these people too, which is so rewarding and so amazing. So that feeling of partnering and
yes,
coming in when I want to or not is amazing. So I just want to say thank you for that.
There's a term that I would be wrong not to bring up at this point, and it's a Latin phrase called "in locos parentis." And what we do is we really seek to partner with the family. And we as a school do not consider ourselves the final authority. We rather are coming alongside each family and saying, let's do this together. Let's raise up children, students, young adults who love the Lord and know how to tell others about it in a winsome way, a beautiful way. And so that partnership is such a huge part of what drew my family to Rockbridge Academy, and it has kept us here.
Awesome. All right, next question. And I'm actually this kind of ties in very nicely. In terms of preparing seniors for college and just the alumni relationship and connection that we have as a whole. Michelle, you probably can speak to this as well because you are the alumni, you coordinate a lot with this too. And then I might have Jerry add some things here too if he'd like, but.
Well, I'll be very brief, except to say that the alumni love to come back, and we actively invite them back. And I think that's a beautiful picture of the connection that Jerry builds in the high school and Stephanie with the teachers and the students, and they feel supported. They consider these staff members mentors, and it's wonderful to hear from the alumni how much they value the education that they were given. And we do have we do have a family now that has graduated from Rockbridge Academy and now has their children as students in Rockbridge Academy, and they are huge cheerleaders of ours. And we rest in knowing that we are meeting needs to our community in that way. And Jerry, I'd love for you to talk a little bit more, since I don't have a senior, I have a 7th grader, and how we prepare those upper school students to graduate and to transition into the next phase.
Sure. Well, I guess, and I'm going to ask Myrna, what would you like me to focus on actually what we do to help students apply to college and work through the college acceptance process, or is it just general preparation for life after high school?
Actually, if you could briefly do this, where you just actually talk about how we actually help them or, you know, nurture them in applying to the colleges.
Gotcha.
The college advising, I think would be great, because
Yep,
that's always something I feel like from a parent perspective, you want to know how you're preparing my child to be ready for that next stage.
No worries. This is one of my favorite parts of my job. So as students are in 11th grade, we start working with them to get ready to think about, we talk about with each student, I actually sit down with students and their families. It's not just the student, it's student and parents. And we talk about things like, what are the best fits for you? And that's often the families are really in tune with each other. And sometimes students and parents have really different ideas about what might be a good financial fit or what might be a good academic fit. So I kind of help mediate that when I need to. But our goal is to help students through the entire application process, which can be daunting if you've never done it before. There's a lot of paperwork to do and a lot of details to take care of, but it's very possible. We provide a pretty comprehensive program, and quite frankly, I'm adding things every year, which I worry sometimes that maybe our parents and students think I'm giving them more and more things to do, but those more things that I'm giving them to do, I'm finding makes their application process not only more efficient, but also more fruitful. You know, this year's senior class, every student who wants to go to college is going to college. They have received, 30 students have received over $2.9 million in scholarship offers.
That's amazing.
So they're doing a great job. And I've never had a student who wanted to go to college who couldn't. Sometimes it means let's talk about other options besides just the 3 Ivy League schools that you want to apply to. And, you know, so we have to talk about not only dreams, which is great for college applications, but also realities. And I advise them to apply to a variety of schools, from, you know, your wish dream school of, man, if I could go here, that would be the best thing in the world, to these are the schools that I'm probably at the right level, or, you know, let's put a couple safety schools in there too, just to make sure that I'm absolutely going. And then it starts to open their eyes and they relax into it and they really do a great job. And we work with them the whole way. We help them to make sure they don't miss deadlines and that they get all their documentation in. Awesome. It's a pretty comprehensive program. I don't do this all by myself. I have a dedicated admin assistant who is the person who helps me to keep track of all these things for all of our seniors. But it's a great program. I can't imagine having my daughter had just gone through this. It was different watching it as a parent, right? Even though I've been doing it for years. But it was, as a parent, it was really great to see that from the user end, I really feel like it works. And
that's awesome. I love that. Let me tell you, the parent involvement in that is amazing, because I do feel sometimes that, especially from a student standpoint, they feel alone, or it's like usually the, you know, guidance counselor and student, but then it's the parents kind of on the sidelines. So I love the fact that you involve the parents in as a collective. So awesome. All right. So without further ado, this is one of the big questions that we get asked. That's why we're counting down to the more popular, frequently asked questions. And so this question is all about tuition and what our plans are for that for the upcoming year. So Roy, if you can elaborate on that. And I think we had some cues come in for this specific topic as well. So
sure, it's an obvious and a necessary question. We don't take for granted that private school is expensive, and it's an investment. And really, I think as parents, we look at it in that way. It is an investment in 13 years of your child's life, in their discipleship. We're all, with our kids, once we bring them home from the hospital, we're on this 18-year discipleship program with them. And this is probably one of the biggest investments, is their education. And if you're thinking about it rightly, if you're thinking about it biblically, it's integral with their hearts. It's integral with their training and their development in their faith. So it's very important. You know, we don't call ourselves a college prep school, and yet we academically, I would say that we're on par with the college prep schools in the area, and yet we're really a fraction of the cost of those others out there. But it still costs. And so the neat thing is that we've recently, just in the past year, moved into a new building. We're in the process. After next year, we'll move our upper school over and we'll all be on one campus. But this new campus affords us space, a lot of space in which to grow and in which more people can come in. And it allows us, we have retooled our tuition assistance program such that we can do a lot better job than we have in the past on meeting families where they are in affordability. So, you know, our tuitions are posted on the website, and you can go and study that chart on your own, but know that tuition assistance is available, and we encourage folks not to let that be a hurdle for them. It is an investment. It is an investment. And yet it's one that is, I believe, is doable, much more now so than even in the past.
Awesome. All right, so the last question, which I think we
Myrna, can I jump in?
Oh, absolutely. I was going to actually think about that too, but then I was like,
no, there was a specific question on the tuition for sibling discounts. And I don't, Roy, if you want to address that, or I can.
We don't typically give specific targeted discounts in that way, but when you apply for tuition assistance, the number of kids that you're enrolling goes into play in that formula. And we, like all the other private schools, we use a third-party software that provides us that third-party information so that we can make that decision. And that is one of the things that gets into the mix. And in that way, I would say yes. If you've got 5 kids you're trying to get into the school, that goes into what that software will kick out to us as far as what is affordable for you. And that software allows folks a certain amount of disposable income, and then part of that is expected to be part of tuition, and that's how they look at it. So yeah, that's how I would say it.
Awesome. All right, so the last question that we have is all about what's on the horizon. So I want you, Roy, to just elaborate, since, you know, now that we're at the end of this year, that you guys, I know, have already been speaking very much about what's going to be happening potentially next fall. And I also want to add to that, I think there was a question about sports in terms of, you know, how we're going to deal with it with COVID. So if you can elaborate on that, that'd be great.
Yeah, well, this spring has definitely been an unexpected change for everyone, and I was really pleased. We were really blessed that we were able to pivot so quickly to online learning, and then because our students are used to working hard and getting down to business, they really were able to make traction such that we were able to keep our end of the year before Memorial Day. And so we're done for the year, and that's exciting. And now we're turned our attention towards the fall, and we have every expectation to be in the classroom in the fall. Again, we've got this big building that's allowed us to spread out a lot more than we have in the past. And so there is room for social distancing and all the things that we will likely need in the fall. No one knows exactly what the fall is going to bring, but we're planning contingencies in every direction. And so I expect to be in the classroom in the fall. We'll have all of the necessary procedures in place to deal with COVID, to deal with social distancing, to deal with checking that kids are not coming to school sick and things like that. So we'll be dealing with that. As far as athletics are concerned, I mean, that's a little bit of a moving target. The leagues are meeting in the next couple of weeks to make some decisions, but we anticipate that athletics in the fall will be a little bit more of an individual training type of situation. And perhaps later in the season, it might, you know, as the phases go through, things like what the governor has put in place, things might open up enough to start to have games. So we're currently putting in plans for training dynamics to be in place for the students that they can either do as a group distance on the field, or they can do at home, depending on what the current situation on the ground is as far as COVID is concerned.
Love it. So guys, it's actually already almost an hour. So now I'm putting this up here just to make it easy, and then I'll also put some things in the chat for you guys too. So first off, I'm going to say thank you guys so much for being with us for this hour. And we are going to do some questions. I do not want you to think that we're not going to take the time out, but we understand your time's valuable, and we're literally about 4 minutes away from 2 o'clock. So I wanted to put this up because this, if you put your phone up to it, and automatically your camera will detect it, it's going to take you to the inquiry form. If you have not filled out the inquiry form for Rockbridge Academy as of yet, to actually get you into the pipeline so that you can then have some more dialogue with Julie, our admissions director, on possibilities, definitely I encourage you guys to do that. The email is here as well as the number. So that's an easy way to get in contact with us. And then of course, if you have any questions, you can always email Julie as well. So let me stop sharing. Hopefully you guys took your little snapshot of this. So thank you so much. And we look forward to hopefully welcoming you to our family. All right, guys. Thank you.